Do you feel challenged knowing exactly what to say on a discovery call? Have you maybe had some calls that you didn't get the outcome that you wanted and you're wondering, gosh, could I have said something different? Should I have said something different? Or maybe you're not even booking calls because you just lack the confidence that you know what to say. Well, today I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what to say and exactly what not to say on your discovery call. Hey there, health and wellness coaches. I'm Nick, your sales coach, your discovery call authority, and your exactly what to say certified guide. And today I'm going to be sharing with you 10 phrases you can use so that you know exactly what to say on your discovery call and exactly what not to say. So here's the thing. A lot of people on their discovery calls feel like the other person's going to say something that they're not prepared for, or some crazy objection's going to come out and they're going to be like, how do I handle it? And one thing that I want to remind you before I jump into any of these phrases is we always want to stay curious on our discovery call. Why? Because curiosity is how you show somebody that you care. And so don't always worry so much about what the perfect thing is to say. The perfect thing is whatever you say with curiosity, in the desire to want to gain more context and get to know the other person and get to know why they're there and what they're all about. Okay, let's start with the first of these 10 phrases. The thing I want you to do at the very beginning of the discovery call is I want you to get permission to talk about your programs and services from the very beginning of the call. And this is a way for you to basically let the other person know that you do have something that you might want to recommend, something that you want to offer them if it feels like the right fit. And you want to say that from the very beginning of the call. And here's how I'd like you to do that. I want you to say, I'm really excited to chat with you today and hear more about you and what's going on and how I might be able to help you. And if it feels like the right fit and it feels good to you, I'd like to reserve some time at the end and we can talk about my programs and services and I'll make any recommendations at that time. And then I want you to say, how does that sound? Because I want you to get their buy-in. So right from the very beginning, you're going to mention that you will be talking about your programs and services. And then that gets us to the second thing that I want to make sure that you are doing on your discovery call. I want you to get buy-in, get micro commitments throughout the entire conversation. From the very beginning, you're saying, hey, I'm going to talk about my programs and services. How does that sound? They're going to say, that sounds good. And then each step of the way through the conversation, I want you to gather micro commitments, get their buy-in, get them saying yes. So psychologically, what they're used to doing is saying yes to you when you take them through the conversation and you're getting these micro commitments as you go along. So you want to be prepared with good questions. You want to get them agreeing with you early on so it feels very natural for them to say yes and agree with you. And the third thing that I want you to make sure that you do is bring out objections early on in the conversation. Don't wait until the objection gets brought up by that person at the end of the conversation. Oh, I need to go check with my partner. Oh, I don't know if I have the time. Oh, I don't know if I can afford this. Let's find that out very early on. And here's how you can do that. If what we discuss in this conversation feels like the right fit for you, is there anything that would hold you back with moving forward today? What else might be a reason for them not to move forward today? Find that out early on. They might say, well, I don't know if I can afford it. Well, I don't know if I have the time. Well, I need to go check with somebody else. Find that out from the very beginning so that you're not the one finding out at the very end that there's some kind of potential objection. And then you can decide how you want to handle the call from there. If they say, I'm not ready to move forward today. And you could say something like, great, what can I share with you today that will help you get closer to making a decision? Now let's move into the fourth thing that I want you to keep in mind. When you're talking about the price of your program, I want you to use the word investment, not cost. Investment has a different connotation. People hear and feel that word differently. And it's the truth of what you're doing. What you're selling is transformational. People are making an investment in themselves, and the investment never expires. So the way you talk about what you do and how you can help them, I want you to talk about it as an investment, because it won't just be the money that they're investing. They're going to need to invest their time, their energy, their attention, their focus. Everything about what they are going to do with you requires them investing in it. Okay, now let's move into the fifth phrase that I want you to be mindful of and use. And this is actually not on the discovery call. This is when you have maybe scheduled a follow-up with somebody. So sometimes people need more time and we legit will give them more time, but we have a follow-up scheduled, right? Now, 3 days later, you're going to reach out to them and you're going to say, I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to making a decision yet. And the reason you're going to say this is because you probably fear that they haven't made a decision, right? So instead of asking, hey, have you made a decision yet? That's just a yes or no. We want to expand on the conversation. We want to get them talking. When you say, I'm guessing you haven't gotten around to it yet, what you're doing is you're allowing them to save face if they really haven't made a decision yet. And if they have, they're going to say, oh no, I did make a decision. We're good. I want to sign up. Or they might say, no, you're right. I haven't made a decision yet. I still haven't spoken with my partner. Now, the sixth recommendation that I'm going to give you for exactly what to say in your discovery call is a phrase that you can use to tell people what to do. because nobody likes to be told what to do. There's safety in numbers, and they like knowing that they're making a decision that other people have made. So let me give you what the phrase is. Most people. Let me give you a couple of examples. Most people wish that they'd started sooner. Or maybe you have 2 coaching packages to choose from, and you might want to tell the other person what to do without telling them what to do. So you would say, most people with this choice would choose the shorter package just so that they can get a taste of it and try it out. And then once they feel comfortable with it, then they move into my longer 3-month package. This is actually something I teach inside of my Next Level Sales Group coaching program. And I help my clients have 2 options so that when they get to that point in a discovery call and the person is maybe wavering and they're not sure which one, they have 2 things that the person can choose from. And then they know how to help them make a decision by saying most people. Now, my 7th recommendation is something you can use when you hear that people are maybe having some trouble making a decision and there's some hesitation, maybe there's some tension. And I want you to use the phrase 2 types of people. And here's how I want you to use this phrase. There's 2 types of people. There's those who are willing to stay where they are, accept that that's as good as it's going to get, and they really just aren't ready to do anything about it and maybe even let it get worse. Or there's those who have finally reached the end of the rope. They're finally done with telling the same story and they're ready to do something about it. Which of those 2 are you? So really, by using this phrase, you're putting the ball back in their court. You're letting them choose. You're letting them say, hey, I want to stay stuck. Or, you know what? You're right. I am tired of my crap. I am tired of having the same things over and over and over again. Let's do this. And who knows what they'll say, but you are letting them make the choice. And that's really what we want to do on a discovery call is get the person to make an empowered decision. Now let's move into my 8th recommendation. And I bet you've heard this just like I have when people are like, I need some time to think about it. Before you get to that point and they say, I need some time to think about it, and I want you to say this, what questions do you have for me? At this point, you've talked about all their things, you shared about your program because they were interested and they asked questions about it, and now you're going to say, what questions do you have for me? And if they have some, they'll ask them. And if not, they're going to say, I don't have any questions. Here's why I want you to ask, what questions do you have for me? Not, do you have any questions for me? When you say, do you have any questions for me? It's a yes or no answer. It's a closed question. You get a yes or no answer and that's it. And you want them to feel like, gosh, I should have some questions. So when you say, what questions do you have for me? They're going to think for a minute, what questions do I have? And if they have any, they'll ask. And if they don't, they'll say, I don't have any questions. And at that point, you can say, great. What happens next is we'll complete your payment together and we'll celebrate right here on the call. And then I'll have my assistant reach out and get some information from you, get you set up for your first call, and get the contract to you. How does that sound? Why would you assume anything else? They don't have any questions. They were interested in your program. They asked questions about it. You both agreed that they were a good fit. If they don't have any questions, it's time to move forward. And at that point, if they say, well, I need some time to think about it, at that point, you know that that's pretty much just BS. What do they need to think about? You already answered all the questions. They already have all the information. What that means is they're just going to go overthink it. And that leads us to my 9th recommendation for exactly what to say on your discovery call. And this is a word swap. I want you to use the word permission when you're at the place where somebody is trying to make a decision. And here's why. If they have not said a full-blown yes or a full-blown no, what you know is very likely they've already made a decision and they want to do this. If they're not just straight up telling you no, then it's because there's interest. They absolutely are considering this. And what that says is they've made a decision. And on some level, they're afraid to make the decision. But they've already made it. They know what they want. They're just denying themselves this one thing, permission. So what I want you to say is when you notice that somebody's maybe in indecision or they're just hesitating, you can say, I'm noticing a little hesitation here. It sounds like you've made a decision. What's holding you back from giving yourself permission to make that decision? Because that's really what it is. People are stuck in giving themselves permission. They're afraid to spend the money. They're afraid it's going to take up a lot of time. They're afraid of what their partner is going to say. They're afraid that their partner or their family isn't going to support them. Whatever it is, they're not giving themselves permission, but they've made the decision. They know they want help. They know they don't want to be where they are, and they know that you have a solution that they're interested in, or else they'd exit the call. They'd say, I'm not interested in this. This doesn't feel like the right fit for me. So your job is to help make the distinction between you've already made a decision. Are you willing to give yourself permission? Now let's move into my 10th recommendation for exactly what to say on your discovery call. Now, here's a go-to that you can use every single time. When somebody says something and you're just not sure how to respond, you can say, what makes you say that? And you're not responding to what they've said. It's not up to you to respond. It's up to you to ask a question and find out what's underneath that statement. Maybe they've said, this is too expensive for me. Just out of curiosity, what makes you say that? And I would like to challenge you to use this not just in your sales conversations, but in all of your conversations. Start to practice these phrases everywhere you go so that it's natural for you to respond like that. Because the more natural it becomes on a discovery call, the more confidence you're going to have on a discovery call. And the more confidence you have, the more sales you're going to make. And by the way, if you want a specific structure to follow on your discovery calls, make sure you download my discovery call framework, which takes you through all the steps you need to cover on your discovery calls. And also, if you like this content, make sure you subscribe to my channel because I put out a new video about discovery calls every week. And when you subscribe, you'll get notified when a new one comes out. All right, I'll see you next time.